Imagine you're a lawyer in a courtroom. Your case is your evidence is overwhelming, and the truth is on your side. But suddenly, your opponent starts shouting, accusing you of being a bad person, talking about things you never even mentioned, and painting catastrophic scenarios of the future. And just like that, you find the jury is swayed by their words and you lose the case. This courtroom isn't in a wooden building. It's the courtroom of the mind. And this trial happens every single day. In your dinner table discussions, in your work meetings, and every time you scroll through social media. The weapons being used against you, and which you might be using unconsciously, are logical fallacies. Welcome to Cogitoski. Today, we're not just going to talk about logic, we're going to arm ourselves with it. We're starting a new series that will be like combat training for your mind. We will expose the psychological tricks and argumentative sleights of hand that sound logical but are, in fact, toxic and empty. It is the art of making falsehood look like truth. In this episode, we will dive into 5 of the most famous and deadliest of these fallacies. After this video, you will never listen to another argument in the same way again. Get ready to activate the BS detector in your brain. Let's start with the most common trick, one you fall victim to every day. The straw man fallacy. Imagine you're in a wrestling ring. Instead of facing you, his strong opponent, your rival builds a flimsy, comical-looking scarecrow that vaguely resembles you. He then proceeds to punch and kick it with pride in front of the audience, declaring his overwhelming victory. This is exactly what happens in an argument. This fallacy occurs when your opponent is unable to attack your actual argument, so they deliberately misrepresent, exaggerate, or ridiculously simplify it to create a distorted and fragile version, a straw man, and then they attack that version instead of your original point. A political example. A public figure says, "We should review our immigration laws to be more organized and humane." Their opponent immediately retorts, "So you want to throw open the borders and flood the country with chaos and criminals? You want to destroy our national identity?" Notice the poison in this response. The idea of organization or humanity was never discussed. It was replaced with a terrifying image of opening the borders, which is a straw man that's easy to attack and stir fear around. How do you counter it? Don't fall into the trap of defending the straw man. Don't say, "No, I don't want to flood the country with chaos." By doing so, you've entered their playing field. Instead, expose the trick calmly. "It seems you're not responding to what I said, but to a distorted version of my words. My original point was about organizing the laws. Let's return to that point. What is your specific objection to it?" The second fallacy is the favorite weapon of those who have no argument. The ad hominem fallacy. This fallacy is a declaration of intellectual bankruptcy. When someone cannot refute your idea, they start refuting you. They shift from attacking the message to attacking the messenger. It has multiple forms, some direct and some insidious. Direct ad hominem, insult, "Your idea is stupid because you are stupid." This is the most blatant form. Circumstantial ad hominem, attacking the circumstances, "Of course you support higher taxes on the rich. You're just poor and envious." Here, the argument is tied to the person's circumstances to strip it of its merit. The you too fallacy, tu quoque, this is an attempt to discredit a criticism by pointing out that the accuser is also guilty of the same thing. It's like a smoking doctor tells you, "Smoking is bad for your health," and you reply, "How can you advise me when you're a smoker yourself?" His smoking doesn't change the fact that smoking is harmful. A business world example. An employee suggests a new idea to save costs. The manager replies, "These are the same ideas you proposed at your last company that went bankrupt. I don't think we should be taking advice from someone with that track record." This is an attack on the past instead of an evaluation of the current idea. How do you counter it? Decisively separate the person from the idea. Say, "Your focus on my character/circumstances/past is an attempt to evade discussing the idea itself. Let's assume someone else entirely proposed this argument. Would you still find it flawed? And why?" The third fallacy is the jailer of minds, the false dilemma fallacy. This fallacy seeks to paralyze your ability to think by painting a world that is only black and white, with no shades of gray. It occurs when only two options are presented as the only possibilities in a matter, when in reality, there is a wide spectrum of other possible options. It's a powerful tool for control and manipulation because it forces you to choose between a bad option and a worse one, or their preferred option. Its timeless motto is, "You're either with us, or you're against us." A social example: you either get married and start a family, or you will die alone and miserable. This is a false binary that ignores millions of other possibilities. A person can be happy and have strong relationships without marriage. They can find meaning in their life in different ways, etc. How do you counter it? Be a paradigm breaker. Don't accept the framework others impose on you. Simply name the other available options. I see a third, fourth, and fifth option. We could do this or try that. The issue is not as simple as you're trying to portray it. The fourth fallacy is the champion of doomsday scenarios. The slippery slope fallacy. This fallacy plays on the fear of the future. It is the art of taking a small, logical first step and then constructing a long chain of deteriorating consequences that ends in an absolute catastrophe, without providing any real evidence that this chain is inevitable. It's like a small snowball that someone claims will inevitably turn into an avalanche that swallows the entire village. An example from parenting: if you let your son play video games for an hour, he will become an addict, he will neglect his studies, he will fail to get a job, and he will end up on the street. Is this possible? Theoretically, yes. Is it inevitable? Absolutely not. This fallacy ignores all the steps and controls that can be placed between point A and point Z. How do you counter it? Demand evidence for the inevitability of the chain. Don't argue about the final catastrophe. Question the links between the steps. Say, okay, I agree we don't want him to end up on the street, but what evidence makes you believe that 1 hour of gaming will necessarily lead to neglecting his studies? Isn't it possible it could be a reward that motivates him to study more? The fifth and final fallacy for today is the most insidious because it masquerades as logic: the appeal to ignorance. This fallacy simply states, since you cannot prove that I am wrong, therefore, I am right. It uses a lack of evidence as evidence in itself. It occurs when it is claimed that something is true because it has not been proven false, or conversely, that it is false because it has not been proven true. A classic example: no one has presented concrete proof that life doesn't exist on other planets. Therefore, aliens definitely exist. The error here is jumping to a certain conclusion from a state of not knowing. The only logical response to a lack of evidence is, I don't know. Not therefore, my conclusion is correct. How do you counter it? Remind your interlocutor of the golden rule of logic. The burden of proof lies with the one who makes the claim, not the one who denies it. Say, the fact that we don't have proof of something's non-existence doesn't make it exist. If you claim it exists, you are the one who must provide the evidence, not ask me to provide evidence of its absence. The straw man, ad hominem, false dilemma, slippery slope, and appeal to ignorance. These are not just academic errors. They are tools used every day to manipulate our minds, guide our decisions, and poison our conversations. Now that you know them, you will start to see them clearly everywhere. Your task is not just to avoid using them, but to learn how to gently expose them when others do. By doing so, you don't just win an argument, you win a victory for the truth. In the next episode, we will dive into 5 other, more subtle fallacies, the ones used by the pros. Until then, share with me in the comments. Which of these 5 fallacies shocked you the most when you realized how often you've encountered it or even used it? Thank you for watching, and always remember, a strong mind doesn't fear questions. It fears false answers. I'll see you in the next episode.